Hi, so today let's look into some of the important interview aspect from string. As you see that in embedded, we need to handle the file system. So when we say about file system, that it's very important to read configuration from a config file, to read some existing data from a file. Okay, so the file handling also includes the handling of strings that we get from the file. So today let's understand three important things, that how we can read a text file, like not reading the text file, how we can get line by line from a paragraph that is already read from the file system. Okay, and how we can separate things, like if there is a line given, so in the question 2, like if we have a specific character, based on the character how we can separate the words. Like let's give an example as email id. So when we want to separate the email id is actual email and the and gmail at the rate gmail.com. So based on at the rate, I can segregate the two things, what is the domain and what is the actual email id, right? So how that can be done, so this is very important when we are dealing with iot, internet of things, over the air updates. So for there also we need to have many specifiers, based on which we will split things into different parts and store them into the array. And then there is a two-dimensional array concept, so we will be seeing one by one each of them. So let's start. So okay, as you can see that I have taken a string here, so which contains four lines. As you can see, there is slash n means new line. So I and this is the function that is print lines. Here if I want to print only line number 2, so I have to enter, let's say, 1, and run the code and see it will print the line number 2, right? So this is how we want to make, so that we can get line by line from any text file. Okay, so if I want to print, let's say, line number 4, then I need to enter 3, and if I run it, you can see that you can get line number 4. So this is what is expected. Okay, and let's now actually code from scratch how we can do it. Okay. Okay, so we are in a fresh page, so let's include first the headers. Okay, now let's say that we have a file system that will return as a buffer. So in that buffer it should contain the entire file. So like there will be a text file from which we will read the entire text file. Okay, so let's say we have a buffer. Okay, so you can say this is line 1, this is line 2, this is line 3, line 3, this is line 4. So here you can see that we are having four lines from read, four lines from a text file in a buffer. So how the buffer will be updated, that is the function of the file system. Okay, and now what we want to do is, we want to create a function where we will pass the line number and I can get that specific line from the buffer. Okay, so now let's have a function. So how we want a function to be, it should be void, let's say anything, it can be a return type, but for now we are just printing the line, so I am putting it void. So void, let's say get, or let's say print line, and here we will just pass int line number. Okay, so in this function it should be very simple. Whenever we pass the line number, the line should be printed. Okay, so for that, this should be our function. So let's currently keep it as it is. Now we should have some array which should contain the lines. So let's understand what we want exactly and what is this line actually specifies. So basically this line is like this. So actually this line is looks like this in a text file. So when we are reading line by line, then we want to print whichever line we want. Okay, from this entire text, you can try yourself, there can be a better solution from this also. So for this, what we want, if we consider that we want to have an array which can store this line as one of its elements, so every array element will be a line, correct? So what we want, so now line should be the element of the array. So what a line can be, a line is an array of character. Okay, so we can have first thing, let's say we can say that line is an array of character. So we can say character, so we can define as character of, let's say for instance, let's say 40 characters in a line it can be. So what does character means? This space is full stop, then slash n, everything is a character. Okay, so we say that a line consists of 40 characters. Now we just do type def. Now this line, when it is combined like this complete, it creates multiple lines. Okay, so simply a lines can be made of multiple line. So I can say line is lines, and I can store maximum, let's say 20 lines. So it's like, it's how it is like these contains only one line. Okay, so I can say this contain only one line. Okay, and this contain 20 line, one line with 40 character. So this is clear, right? So this is a, this means this is one line which is having 40 character, and this line which is of this line of lines contains 20 line, it can contain 20 lines, each of which can have 40 characters. Okay, so now our data type is clear, where we can store the entire text that we read from any source. Okay, so that is fine, right? Now we want to have a function that can update this entire thing. Okay, so let's create a function, let's say void update lines, or better is okay, void update lines. Okay, it is also of type void, there is no return type, and here we want to update this using this buffer. So we will write that function. Now in main we said int main, say return 0 and printf, so something we will print, that's it. So now let's write the function. So first thing is how we want to update the lines. So first thing, we need two integers, int I equals to 0 and j equals to 0. So we can say that what all this. So for character count and line count, so let's make it characters, and let's make it lines count. Let's say care count. So care count and line count. So how we want, like we want to put the character inside the line and the line inside the lines. So that will be the whole scenario. So we can say while this buffer is not empty, we want to run. So till the buffer is not equals to 0, we will be running the whole. Okay, and whenever we encounter slash n, that's mean a new line is starting. Okay, so what is so let's write that condition. If buffer equals to slash n new line, then what we want to do, we want to just change the line, and like we want to set the character count to 0, because it will again start from the 0th position, and the line count should be incremented. Okay, so it will go to the next line, correct? But if it is not encountering anything, then we only want to update the lines. Okay, we only want to update the count. So I can say that in this case here, the counter plus plus character counter will be incremented, and we want to store it inside lines, like lines will be line count, that is in the first line, and then character count. In that line, the first character I want to increment, I want to update with whatever the buffer I am getting. Okay, that's it. And at the end, after everything, we want the buffer to be incremented. So what's happening, for every character that is not equal to slash n, we want to have the same line, but we want to change the character. We want to one by one enter the character, and this is how the entire line will be updated. Okay, so that's it. And for printing line, it is very simple. It is printf. As our lines and everything has been updated, let's put it below this function. Let's put all the function in after this. So what we want to print is percentage s comma lines, and here line number. That's it. We'll pass the number and that number of line will be printed. So let's see if it actually works. So first, let's say update lines we will call. Okay, and then print line we'll call. So in print line, let's print line number 1 and see if it prints or not. So let's run the code. What happened? Okay, in line 40. Okay, what happened? Ah, okay, here I missed. Okay, okay, now see, the line number 2 is printed. And then if I want to print line number, the first line itself, so I need to pass 0. So if I pass 0, line number 1 is printed. If I pass 2, line number 3 should be printed. Correct. So I hope now you understand how, if you have a string of multiple line or a paragraph, how you can get from line by line. And now also what you can do is you can also go from character by character also using the same line. And this is how the array will work. Okay, okay, okay. Now I hope this part is clear, that how this can be done. Okay, now let's go into another question, that is we need to split a particular string into multiple pieces based on a specific identifier. So what do you mean by this? Maybe it's like, let's say we have a specific string, like uh, this is, let's say I can say that we get a string of all the names that we are having stored in the memory. Okay, a name of all the files that we are having. Let's say file1.c. Okay, then we have a comma, then we have file2.c, then we have a comma and say file3.c. Okay, so, and but I want a list of all the files that I am having in C. What all files I am having, I just want to print the list. I don't want to have a comma and all. I just want to have all the file list present inside an array, so that I can pass the number. Let's say what is the file at the 0th position in that array. If that array is filled, then I should get in return there is file1.c. So let's write this code. Okay, okay, now you can see that we have a data, like similarly a data that will return from the let's say from the file system, that will read all the files that are present inside the USB or in a pen drive or in a hard drive. And you have all the lists separated by commas. Okay, so now what I want to have names of all the files within, like let's say I can say that I want to have the names of all the files in form of an array, where I could pass the name, number, and I could print the line, the file 2 value. Okay, so let's run and see. So here I will see specify the splitter. So the splitter is comma. Based on comma, I should be able to have these file name stored inside the array names, where I will pass one and it will print the whole file name. Okay, so let me run it. See, it prints file number 2. Okay, if I press 0, so let's see what it prints. So it prints file number 1. So like that, this names array contains the name of all the files. that we are having in form of a list. Like you can say, it's if I am creating the list of all the files that are present in a directory. So how to do that, how to split it, let's see. So we are in a clean page. Okay, let's do the hash includes. Simple. Okay, so now what we want to have, we will have a buffer written from the character buffer written from the file system, specifying what all files we are having. Let's say files, file one dot, like that. Okay, random file names. So what all these are actually the files that are present inside a pen drive or a directory or the list of songs. It can be anything. Okay, these are all separated by the commas. So now what we want to have is, we want to have the file names in form of a list. Okay, so first thing, what a file name contains, it contains character. Okay, so let's first make type def character, let's say file name. So file name can be of size 20. Okay, then the file name, all the file names will make a list of files. So I can say that file name is file list of, let's say, 10 files. Maximum list, I say there will be 10 files. So what I am doing, that a file name will contain the name of the file, a file list will contain name of all the files. Okay, so file list consists of the name of all files. So these are the two things that I need now. Okay, now what we can say, that we need void scan, or let's say split file name, split file names. So here we need to specify a splitter, character splitter. So this splitter is a specific character based on which I can split the I can differentiate between these files. Okay, whatever splitter I pass, so that will differentiate. Now that's one part, that splitter will split and update the file name and file list. And finally, let's say we have a we want to print the specific things. So okay, that can be done in the main file itself, into main. So this is done in the main file, where we will be saying that printf percentage s, comma, let's say file list. So in the file list, whatever the position number I will define, that will print the name of the file. And here I will be calling the splitter function, where I will pass the character that based on which the split will happen. So that character will be a comma. Okay, it can be anything based on the type of segregation you receive. So let's now write the main thing here. So it will be also two things, right? Here it will be an counter of character. So we say character count, okay, which is 0 initially, and file count, which is also 0 initially. So when we want to increment the file count and when we want to increment character count, so we first say that while the buffer is not equals to null, till that we want to go through the buffer each character. And if we encounter that specific character, so if this buffer is equals to this splitter, okay, then we want to, then we say that we found a new file name. Okay, so what we can say is that we want to have the character counts to start from 0 again, and file count should be incremented, correct? So this will be 0 and the file count should be incremented. Similarly in the else part, so if we don't get a file count, if we don't get the splitter, that means the character count should be incremented, and whatever the character we receive from the buffer should be updated in the file names. So that can be accessed via the file list. So in the file list, first is the file count, then we have the file name, then we have the character count, that is the name of the file, and that will be updated by buffer, whatever we get in the buffer. And finally we increment the buffer. Okay, that's it. So let's see, run and understand if there is an issue in there. So let's say okay, int, okay, here we have the issue. Okay, run it. So we passed 1, so it is saying main.c. We pass 0 and run, it is file1.c. Okay, so now if we want to have the list of all the files in a go, then we can use a loop. So let's say for int I equals to 0, I less than 4, I plus plus, and we just print up to I. Okay, and for after every print we want to have a slash n. Okay, so if we run it, so we have list of all the files. So what does it helps us? We have a list from where we can get any file name and can use it. Okay, so this is what we can do using the string operations. And now let's understand about more about the two dimensional array that we are using here. Okay, okay, so I hope this part is somewhat clear. So how to split a file, a string based on the specific character or a splitter. So let's now understand the concept of a 2D array. Okay, so what does a 2D array means? Okay, let's understand the concept of a two-dimensional array. So we consider a page having a lines in it. So these are lines in a page. So every line can be represented in form of array of character. Okay, character array. And this character array of line, a character array can be summed up like small character array. All character array can be summed up to form a big array where each element is a character array, will become a page which contain multiple lines. So these are lines, this is one line, and combination of all the lines can consist of an page. So that is the concept we have used here for a two-dimensional array. So in a 2D array, it's just like a matrix where you have rows and columns. So using this, like these are row, and these are columns, this individual are column. So when I want to access this particular character, so I can say this is in one two three third row, and one two three fourth column. So so it is gets very easy to access every character. So a line or a page can be represented in form of a two-dimensional array using rows and column. And just remember that the 2D array is nothing but a long array that is divided into smaller portion of arrays, small arrays. Okay, so what is happening is it is a big array which contain a small array of character. Okay, so this is the concept of 2D array. So I hope this is clear from now. And I would say, like, subscribe my channel and follow it for more such videos. And also one request to you guys, that if you have some more interview related question, you can post in the comments so that I could try to solve it and help other guys also. Okay, thank you.